Good day and welcome to Inderes TV. Last year was a rocky year in the stock market in Vietnam, and today we have PYN Elite, as we say in Finland, PYN Elite, Maggie Yi here to talk with us. How's the things are going in the Vietnam right the moment? Welcome, Maggie, to Inderes TV interview.
It's good to see you again after a year. I hope I have some good news to share with you and your audience.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this interview. As I was mentioning, we did see last year and the situation was pretty different than today. So what is the current sentiment in Vietnam if we speak about stock market?
The stock market, I think the sentiment is getting better and better. Remember last year in September and October, the central bank in Vietnam has hiked rate by 2 times and 200 basis points last year. And this year it's the opposite direction. So far this year, the central bank has cut rate by 4 times, in total of 150 bips. And after the rate cut, you can see the investor sentiment is getting better. The deposit rate this year so far has decreased by 150 basis points to 300 basis points. And the lending rate, which is based on the deposit rate, will decrease a little bit later because bank would like to reprice them a little bit slower. So it will relieve the borrowing burden for the enterprise or the customers to borrow the money to do their business. And on the investor sentiment side, the market trading value jumped a lot since the SBV cut the policy rate. In January to April, for the first 4 months of this year, the average daily trading value on the market is about 500 million. And after the SBV cut the rate, the trading value we are seeing it's moved to $700 and $800 million on average per day. So that's a big jump. And someday when investors are really excited, the trading value could get to 1 billion. And the margin loan that the investor borrow to trade stock for January and to April, the 4 months has been very, very low. But in May, we are hearing brokers to see that they see the margin balance going up. Though different brokers see the growth is differently. Some see a little bit growing, and some brokers see their margin lending book maxed out. And also the new account opening, it has been quite quiet for some time. But in May, the new account opening was 100,000, compared with only 20,000 in April. So that's a big jump. So we started to see investor is getting interested in stock market and getting confident in the stock market. So they are shifting their their fund, their savings back to the stock market. That's what I can say for now.
Yes, the investors are getting back to the market. You did mention what the central bank has done this year, but what other measures the central government have done this year? Because we know that last year the measures wasn't good for investors and overall sentiment.
I think last year there has been some high-profile arrests. So far this year, luckily, there wasn't any like that meaningful. Probably very small people that people just ignored. And on the corporate bond side, because last year when the government want to correct the wrongdoings, they are a little bit overdone. So this year they have trying to look at how they can relax to help the corporate could finance their corporate bonds properly. So they have issued two decrees. So the first is they allow those people who cannot, the company have difficulties to repay the corporate bond. They could extend the term by 2 years, or they could pay their bond by using other assets, such as if they are developers, they could use their housing units to pay their bond. And also the bank, previously, they don't allow to buy back the corporate bond that they have distributed. So this year they were allowed to buy back the corporate bond where they see the default risk is very low. So that's on the corporate bond side. And the second is everyone know that there are the main issue on the property market is a lot of legal bottlenecks. All kind of approval is very slow. So this year the government, especially the PM, is calling out every day, please speed up the approval process. So we see some signs the property market, the approval process is accelerating, but still not enough yet. So we are expecting more to come in the coming times. And also when it comes to the loan, because of last year the hardship, and also this year suddenly the export is a little bit weaker. So the government is having the loan forbearance program the same with the COVID time. So for the people who are having certain difficulties, they could restructuring their loan. They don't have to pay the interest until their difficulties passed. So there are such programs to facilitate the economy. And on top of that, the government on the fiscal policy side, the government proposed a VAT cut, cutting from 10% to 8%. This package is equivalent of $1 billion to the real economy. And also that the government, because everything is quite slow, the export is slow, consumer confidence is rather soft at the moment. One thing government can do is the government spending. So government is looking at their infrastructure and they try to disperse their public investment budget into the infrastructure building. This year, they have 30 billion budgeted to disperse. But from January to April, due to slow process, it has been slow. But when the first quarter economy result come out, the government realized they need to disperse the investment a bit faster to support the economy. So in May, there is a big jump. Previous months, every month disperse about 1 billion. And in May, they disperse 2 billion. So the public investment, infrastructure spending is also accelerating, which can support the real economy.
As you mentioned, the economic growth and export growth hasn't been that much than we have get used to what comes to Vietnam. And as far as I know, the listed companies' earnings growth have been weak. So how your portfolio companies have been performing?
Yeah, your observation is correct. To put it into context, the first quarter for the top 150 companies in Vietnam, their revenue on average declined by 5%, but the net profit declined on average by 24%. If you break down the by sector, I think the banks are doing fine. Their revenue and net profit still growing at single digit. But what got hit is the real estate and construction, which is not surprising. And also certain consumer names that because consumer demand is weak, so certain players, especially in the ICT retailer that they selling phone and laptops, they do very big price discounts. So their net profit also dropped by 60%. But looking at our portfolio, even I am a little bit positively surprised that we have done so much better than the market. We have 12 core companies. The revenue growth on average is 24% and the net profit on average 35%.
Yeah.
So if to give a few examples, we have one company called VRE. It's a shopping mall. Yeah. Their first quarter revenue grew by 40% and their net profit grew by 170%. It's because it's also coming from a low base last year. Last year, the economy just recovered from COVID. Yeah. And this year, like a lot more people coming to the shopping mall and there are a lot of activities in the shopping mall. And the shopping mall don't need to spend money to like the COVID support package to the tenants. So their profit is doing very well. And they could also increase the occupancy, they could also see where they fit, adjust the rental a little bit higher. So I think for full year, they still expect net profit to grow by 70%, despite this year the economy is a little bit weak. And then the second company that report very high profit growth is Airport of Vietnam. The profit up by almost 90%. It's because of the return of the international tourists. Last year, this time is maybe less than 500,000 tourists, but this year it's 7 million. So it's like 15 times increase. And the third one is our new core holding since late last year is Samaan. The first quarter grew by 50%. For the full year, we're expecting anywhere between 70% to 100%. It's a story we have been communicating in the past, so maybe the investor is familiar with Samaan already.
Yes. So your core holdings are performing very well, if I sum up that.
Yes.
Then we have one investor question. Investor asks, I would be interested to know how well PYN's earnings forecast have materialized as PA figures for the current and next year are used a lot in your documents. Could you elaborate a bit your forecast process and how closely you monitor how well you succeed with that?
I want to thank investor for this very good question. It made me start to look at our track record. So there are some numbers I could give to this investor. So I look at our profit forecast that we made for 2022 at the beginning of year 2022. And on average, at the beginning of year 2022, even economy was good and we were very bullish, but still on average, our net profit was 5% lower than the actual. So we are a little bit underestimating, but not that much. But the way how we work is we monitor the company so closely, we adjust our profit based on quarterly result, based on our conversation with the management. So by September, that's before the big economic crisis and monetary tightening happened. By September, actually, our outlook was very bullish. So by September, our forecast was 8% higher than the year end. So because over the 9 months, we're getting more and more bullish. So our estimate is also getting higher. But when October and November, when the corporate bond problem and SBV hiking rate, it changed picture quite a lot. Then our analysts have been preemptively revising their profit target. So by the end of the year, it's getting really close to the actual earning target. So to summarize, at the beginning of the year, we are a little bit underestimating, but by September, before the crisis, we were like 8% higher. But by the year end, because we adjust the reality rather fast, so it's rather in line. And how we work is, I mentioned earlier, we monitor the company very closely. We have very good contact with the company. We talk with them at frequency, monthly, if not more frequently. And every month, our internal team, we will review all the portfolio companies and all the companies in our watch list that we could potentially invest, or they are just serving as a competitors for us to follow the industry trends. We review our forecast for their net profit and we review their share price. So we get a very good hunch of where things are going and if our stock is undervalued or overvalued.
That's good to hear. You earlier did mention one of your bank holdings and overall the banking sector in your portfolio. That weight is really large, and we all know that the sector's future seems to be strong, but is there anything concerns that you would like to tell? Because investors would also appreciate if we hear some negative news and not only the good ones.
Yeah, like I totally understand. I also like to hear negative news from the company we invested in. I was in Ho Chi Minh last week, and I met basically all the almost all the listed banks, so I could get a quite timely update from them. So I think maybe I would say three concerns. The first is the asset quality. The asset quality, a lot of banks see the NPL, non-performing loan, is peak in first quarter, and some banks think it could be in second quarter, meaning this quarter. So I think that for the provision expenses, we will see second quarter and third quarter a little bit weak before it coming back. Though I think the bank has enough loan loss buffer to cover the loss. It just means profit growth will be a little bit slow. And then the second is the loan growth is a little bit slower than all the previous year. So I think this year the loan growth for the whole economy right now is only 3%. If it were last year, it's already 10%. So it's a little bit slow at the moment. It probably will only getting faster somewhere in the third quarter. So it basically means the second quarter, third quarter result will be a little bit slowish. And the third is in the past, the banks, they reported very good fee income growth, very strong income growth. A lot comes from this bancassurance selling. And in January this year, there is some individual banks. It's not even the listed bank we consider investable, but this bank have some misconduct with selling their bancassurance. It's like misguiding their customer, thinking they bought a deposit, but in fact it's a life insurance product. It got some it caught attention from the customer, it caught attention from the regulators. So because of this impact, the life insurance has been growing slow up until so far this year. But the life insurance penetration rate is very low in Vietnam. It will return to the growth, but maybe not this year. So it will slow down the fee income growth. That would be the concern, even or is rather manageable in my eyes.
Thanks for the summary. And final question is, of course, it would be nice to hear what stocks have you bought or sold during the year, and of course, why? Few examples would be good.
So far this year, we have added position in almost all our key holdings, such as VRE, the shopping mall, and the banks like MBB, HDB, TP Bank. When we add, they are all like a strong buy to us, especially after the price correction from last year. But when to add them, it really depends on if there is available shares and depends on their relative performance against the index. When some share is weaker, we buy them. And we also bought some insurance company, military insurance, which is a subject of our previous monthly review. That's it. And we have one new stock that we are in the process of building position. So it's better I don't say it now since we are still buying the shares. But I can tell this one finally is not a bank, so it's something different. So our investor will know what's this company about. And we didn't really selling out any other positions. It's like from portfolio management point of view, if some stock the weighting is too big, then we would like to trim it to proper level. But we didn't divest any shares.
All right, it will be interesting to see what this new position will be, but we will see.
Yes, we will see.
Yes. Thanks, Maggie, for your time, and I hope all the best.
Thank you very much, Antti. I enjoy talking with you.